Welcome to the inaugural episode of a Black Business Roundtable, a fireside chat with Larry Ivory. I'm your host, MC Pearson from 25 Imprinting, and today we're kicking off a new series that's all about educating and empowering Black small business owners. Whether you're just starting out or looking to take your business to the next level, this series is designed to provide you with the knowledge and the tools that you need to succeed. In each episode, we're going to sit down with Larry Ivory, a titan in the world of Black business advocacy, to discuss critical topics that every Black entrepreneur should be aware of, from understanding policies to navigating certifications and unlocking opportunities in the shelter market and more. This series is your gateway to expert advice and insider knowledge. Today's episode is all about certifications. We'll be breaking down what they are, why they're so important, and most importantly, how you can use them to your advantage. We'll also decode the many acronyms that come with the territory, like VBE, MBE, and DBE, so that you can speak the language of success. So, without any further ado, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce you to the star of a fireside chat, Mr. Larry Ivory. Good evening, Mr. Ivory. How you doing, sir?
Man, I am doing great with that introduction. I am feeling pretty good about myself right now.
It's all true. No cap. No cap. It's all truth, sir. So, you know what,
Right.
Larry? We had this discussion about, I remember when we sat down and we had this discussion about being able to educate Black business owners about policies and certifications and sheltered market and all these different things. And you know, you expressed how you want to get this information out there and you want to have it in a way that people can go back and review. And that's where this whole idea about the fireside chat came up, you know, and man, I thank you for your brilliance. I'm really excited about this episode, sir.
Well, hey, I won't take full credit for that because I think it's when two people come together who are as creative as you are, MC, and the visionary that you are, it makes it easy for me to be able not only to talk about a big vision, but the execution of the vision. And so I want to congratulate you on the execution of pulling this together and making sure that Black businesses are going to be better off from this conversation.
Absolutely, man. Well, thank you, sir. So you know what? We decided that this first episode was going to lay the foundation for all of the episodes going forward that we would be doing. And oftentimes when we're on the Wake Up Show Chicago, powered by the Illinois State Black Chamber of Commerce, that we use acronyms, and sometimes those acronyms go over people's heads and they don't understand exactly what they mean, you know. And so we say, well, let's start out with the foundation. Let's deal with all of the certifications and what they are and stuff. So first and foremost, though, Larry, what are these certifications and why do we need them in the first place as a Black business?
Well, we hope one day that we don't need certifications, but certifications are necessary because, we know in America, from a historical perspective, is that America has been open to Black business and minority business collectively, even to white women at some point in time. So it's necessary, I think, when Congress and everybody came together, they understood that we needed to do something to fix the problem. And I go back to even when you come to the Native Americans. When the government decided that Native Americans, there were some benefits that you could derive from that. What happened was a lot of Caucasians said they were Native Americans just to derive from the benefits. And people always take advantage of any opportunity. And so when we take a look at minority certification and the value that it brings a degree of integrity to make sure that we don't have pass-through and fronts. And historically, unfortunately, there's always been a degree of pass-through and companies who are fronting, who are not really adding real value or doing a legitimate service, but their prime contractors or the Caucasian male basically is putting them in play. So instead of getting 95% of the pie, he can get 100% of the pie. So certification was necessary. Once they decided certification was necessary, they had to put some guidelines in place. And one of those guidelines I think are real important is that you got to prove that you are a minority. That may sound like, you can look,
Makes sense.
we're black, but the reality of it is you had to do more than that, because you can have a black owned company and, that looks like it's black owned because the president says this name, but in reality, someone else is running that business. He doesn't have the power to fire, or she doesn't have the power to fire or hire anyone. She don't write the checks. She don't sign the loans. So fundamentally, she is or he is a pass-through company because they don't control 51% of the stock in the company. And having 51% doesn't necessarily mean that you're running the show. It simply means that you have a majority share of the stock. But is it voting stock or non-voting stock? So Congress basically and everyone decided that we had to have a criteria to make sure that legitimate companies who were deemed as disadvantaged enterprise or BEP certified firms, that we would be make sure that those firms were there and that they would get the legitimate opportunity they deserve and not just be used as a pass through in those cases. So that's why certification becomes essential and very important in terms of making sure that the dollar gets into the hands of the people that it was designed for in the very beginning.
So I heard you say, some of these guys will um, front someone else. And so instead of them just getting 95%, they want to try to get 100%. So
Yeah.
the certification process was put in place so that the same people or the same people won't always get the full pie, and we can carve out a portion of this business with the state or with local municipalities for minorities,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. That's exactly what it was designed for. And just think about it, MC, is that white males don't pay all the taxes in the United States. So they shouldn't derive all the benefits of all the contracts in the United States. As last I
Which
remember, there's no discrimination when it comes to collecting taxes. There ought to be no discrimination when it comes to contracting.
which essentially which essentially what you're saying is that we as minorities, blacks, veterans, women, we all pay taxes, and that those taxes go into the projects that are being done around the state, in your local municipalities. Whether every time you see construction application processes.
Oh, absolutely, Mike. MC is that, it's like anything else. If you have a daughter, you want her to take dance lessons. Those dance lessons aren't free. Someone has to pay for it. So someone has to go out and work, make the money, and pay someone to teach your daughter or my daughter or whoever how to dance. They don't do it for free. The same thing about any infrastructure that's built in the United States. That infrastructure costs money. The machines, the material, the labor costs, all those are a component of the work that has to be done. And when that work is done, you still got to get someone to pay for it. And so how they do that in some cases, not all cases, but in some cases, and as it relates to horizontal construction, which is highway construction, they do that by a motor fuel tax, which means that every time you go to the gas pump and you pump gas and you drive a vehicle, you are paying for highway infrastructure. Simple as that. That's how it's funded.
And when you're paying for highway infrastructure and you drive past that construction, you ought to see some people out there who look like you.
I would think so. Hey, as much traveling as we do and as much gas that we burn, I would think that we should have people like that look like us out there working, because we should participate where our dollars help create the opportunity. That is as American as apple pie. Participate where your dollars help create the opportunity.
So how do certifications specifically benefit black owned businesses? What does it allow them to do? Can you give us an example? Because I know that you pay attention to the bids that are out there. President Biden did a 1.7 trillion dollar infrastructure bill, and he said, hey, 40% of all of that money is supposed to go to minority owned businesses, certification type businesses. So eh, how do how do these certifications help us black owned businesses with these types of projects, especially, even with that infrastructure bill that President Biden signed?
Well, first, let me be clear. Being certified doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to win business. So I want
Correct.
to debunk that out of the gate because you can be certified and still not get business. So certification gives you an opportunity, a better opportunity to participate because what the federal government has done is said, look, there's a certain portion, since we know that we live in a society that is not always inclusive, we're going to legislate this and we're going to make sure that a certain percentage of that project has to go to minority firms. And you have to meet that minority obligation. That is a contract with whoever wins the contract. So if they have a 10%, a 20% goal, then that firm has to make sure that 20% of that project has minority participation on it. Now, if you're not certified and you don't have any of the certifications, that prime contract is getting no credit. So he's probably going to look for somebody because he has a contractual obligation. He's going to look for somebody that can meet that obligation because it could put his contract at risk. He's probably not going to do that, or she's probably not going to do that. So it's fundamentally important that if you're certified, you just simply have a better opportunity. It doesn't mean that you're guaranteed to get a job. It simply means that you create a better opportunity to win by being certified.
Makes perfect sense to me. Makes perfect sense to me. So, and now we were just down at the Illinois State Black Chamber of Commerce Business Conference, the 19th annual one, and we were in one of the breakout sessions, and one of the young ladies said, it's just so much work to do in order to
Mm.
be certified. I don't even know if it's worth it. Um, and she didn't think it was fair. Quite frankly, she didn't think it was fair that we have to do so much work in order to become certified. You know, what do you say to black businesses who think that the whole certification process is not even worth it?
Well, I can definitely appreciate how they feel, no question about it, because you go through all the work to get certified, and then after being certified, you haven't derived any opportunity from the certification. So you could be left with a feeling of why did I even go through this process? Because it didn't help me out at all. Now there are different points of view because some people have a different point of view that says, look, I got certified and I won a major contract, a multi-million dollar contract or $100,000 contract. And if I wasn't certified, I wouldn't have gotten that opportunity. So it just kind of depends. And when people say, why should they go through the process? Well, it's like anything else. If you're playing basketball in the NBA, you got to understand the rules of the game. If you don't abide by the rules, you shoot a 50-foot shot, but you shoot it out of bounds. It don't count. It's a great shot, but it don't matter. That's the rules. It does not count. So we have to understand the rules of engagement. Now, once we understand the rules and we level the playing field, we can compete with anyone. So we ought not to be afraid to compete. Sometimes the paperwork is cumbersome, but it is well worth it if you're going to want to participate. And you want them to ask for the paperwork because if they didn't, anyone could come and say, well, I'm an African American. You could be lily white, or I'm a
That's right.
Hispanic, or I'm a Asian. So the certification is necessary to protect your own interests at the same time. And without that certification, then I would dare say that the numbers of black participation would be down even greater.
And you know what? Let's these fireside chats are going to be. full transparency, and we're going to have real talk. So here's real talk for you. Once you do one certification, you pretty much have all of the content gathered together already for the next certification, the next certification, the next certification. I think the only one that's going to be outside of a little bit different would be those who are going for a veteran certification. And in that case, you only need your DD 214. So, when you get ready to go, if you become minority certified, guess what? The taxes and the paperwork and the things you got to pull together to become DBE certified. It's like 80% of that stuff you already have. So with every certification, it actually becomes easier.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And again, it's if we could wave a magic wand and say it's not necessary, the downside would be that everybody then would be in the business, and the legitimate people who deserve to participate would not get a chance to participate because you'd have too many fronts and paths. So there has to be a way of validating who you are, and you must go through the process in order to participate. Now, I can tell you there are firms out there who are African Americans who are not certified and they still go out and get business.
That's true.
You can still go out. I mean, certification doesn't mean, if you're not certified, don't mean that you can't bid on work, but it means that you're going to have a a a deeper climb in terms of being able to break through. But when you're really good, and you're really really good, and we are really good at certain things,
Come on.
eventually it becomes less important because people know the quality of the work that you do, and they're not looking for you to be certified. They simply want someone that can get the job done and do it at the highest level. So, there's give and takes. I think it's important for us to understand. And let me compliment you, MC, on the questions that you ask, because I think it's important for us to look at all the different angles when it comes to certification and make sure that people walk away with a better understanding of why it's important, and the good and the bad. There's some good to it, there's some bad to it. It's not always black and white. Sometimes it's gray, and so we're gonna break it down and have a real conversation about black and white, and sometimes even gray.
Hey, it is what it is. Now, you know what? I know people are used to us having these long form conversations, with the regular Black Business Roundtable or the Wake Up Show. But the Fireside Chat is a half an hour show, guys, because we want to make sure that we make this where it's digestible, where you're getting just enough information for you to think about it, for it to marinate on your mind, and that these things can be actionable to you. So we only have a half an hour for you on tonight. Now, right now we're at the 18-minute mark, and one of the things we said we were going to do was demystify all of the acronyms that we hear. We're on the Wake Up Show Chicago on WBON on Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. We're talking business, and we might say some of the acronyms because we know what they are off the top of our heads. So this is going to be your primer that you're going to be able to go back and review to find out what some of these things are. And what we're going to do on Saturday is we're going to put a white paper together. And if you listen to the Wake Up Show Chicago this upcoming Saturday, you will find out how to get access to the white paper that's going to describe for you all of the acronyms, all of the certifications, and who they're for and what they mean. But we're going to break some of them open on tonight. So you ready, Larry?
I'm ready, man.
All right, man, let's get it. So you know what? The biggest one for us is MBE. What is MBE? Masters, Bachelor of Entertainment? What? All right, I'm gonna stop being goofy. Okay, so
Yeah.
so MBE certification.
MBE is the minority business certification that they use throughout the country. And you also have, when we say MBE, that is the certification for minority firms. If you want to do business in the city of Chicago, MBE certification is a must. WBE is for women, MBE is for minority business enterprise. And that's important. And the reason you got to have that is that you can have what I consider to be there's some agencies that accept different types of certification. Okay. And I think we're going to get into that, if I'm not mistaken, MC, in terms of what does the MBE, WBE, and who accept those certifications. Most agencies accept both of those different certifications if you're certified by them. But also, there's a BEP certification, and that's the business enterprise, and that's done for the state of Illinois if you're a BEP certified, and that means you can do business with all state agencies in the state of Illinois. There's also, and again, I don't want to get ahead of you, but
No, no,
there's
you good, man.
also
You good.
okay. Also, you have DBE. Now, DBE, MBE, WBE, BEP, they are different certifications. DBE certification is predominantly used by the Department of Transportation, Disadvantaged
Right.
Business Enterprise. And the federal government requires that you get certified in order to participate and get credit for the prime to get credit. You have to be DBE, Disadvantaged Business Enterprise. Now, that means everybody, like some people said, that includes humpback whales just about. But you got blacks,
Exactly.
Asians, Chinese, white women, can all be Disadvantaged Enterprise certified
As a
as
matter
a
of fact,
result.
let me insert this, Larry. I went to a training. I went to a small business training with CTA, and they said you cannot do business with us unless you are DBE certified.
Yep,
And and here's the other part about that. They actually have a department of people who will help you get DBE certified if you don't already know how to do it. So, like you said, that's for everybody, but certain agencies won't even do business with you if you don't have that certification. And right now, CTA is doing an extension of two of their lines, and I think
the
one of
red
them is
line.
going out to the red line, and I think that's going all the way out to near the Hazel Crest area. And if you want to get in on that contract and become a contractor with CTA to try to get some of that money, you have to get that certification.
Absolutely. And there's hundreds of millions of dollars they're going to spend on the red line, and they require that you are DBE certified. BEP certification ain't going to help you. You got to be DBE certified to participate on federal programs dealing with infrastructure and highway and infrastructure. And obviously, rail and those things are infrastructure, and highway and all those things. So DBE is necessary if you're going to do horizontal work throughout any part of the United States. And if you're DBE certified here in the state of Illinois, uh, which is a federal mandate, you don't have to go and get certified in New York or someplace else. That DBE certification is a federal certification that you have that you can utilize.
Now, in my sanctified imagination, I can hear someone saying, why do I need to get DBE certified? I'm not in construction. I'm not about to build anything, and so, the answer to those things are, well, there's printing, there's catering, there's all of these different areas that you can provide a service to. We had also I keep referring back to our business conference that the Illinois State Black Chamber of Commerce just had, and airport authorities showed up, and they actually had catalogs with every NIC code in it that tells you what is it that they purchase for the airports. Exactly what I mean. It's like a cheat code, right? This is
Mhm.
what we buy, and you can go through those books and find out whether you can be found in those books, and they're looking for certifications as well.
Yeah, but it's,
You
again,
know,
certification is one step of many steps it takes in order to compete and be successful. Because once you
yes,
get
sir.
certified, just because you're certified, it means that you now have to compete against other certified companies. And what do you bring to the table? And how do you present yourself? And why does someone want to do business with you? How were your numbers and compared to someone else's numbers? What do you do that's different than someone else? So being certified is one step of many steps that it takes to be successful in business. Just being certified is one of the important steps to take to even get in the game. You say, Coach, put me in the game. We put you in the game, you can't dribble, then he's gonna take you out of the game, put you on the bench. But if you come dribbling to your legs and knock down the three, you're gonna be in the game. You're gonna be playing. Then you may become an NBA legend and become one of the most dynamic players in history. But the same thing is true about business. The same
Come
thing. You
on.
got to put the time and energy into your business to understand your competition. No different than any other athlete has to understand who he's competing against. You got to understand who you're competing against, and you got to bring your A game. You got to bring your A game, and you got to put the time and energy. You don't become LeBron James or Michael Jordan by only getting on the court every once a week, and you think you're going to be one of the greatest basketball players of all time. You're not going to become a great business person if the only time you spend in your business is 3 to 4 hours a day, but yet you want to make billions of dollars. It's not going to likely happen. You got to put the work in,
No,
Mike.
it's not going to. Come on, man. So, you know what, Larry, oftentimes a lot of people put emphasis on becoming minority certified, women certified, veteran certified. Um, but not too often do you hear people talking about, I went and got SBE certified. I went and got certified by the Small Business Administration. And I don't think a lot of people understand the importance of that certification and what type of doors is going to open for them. So, can you unpack the SBE certification as well?
Yeah, the SBE certification, we used to call it in transportation target market. And I'll try to, speak to that. SBE is small business enterprise. And by the SBA, there are certain contracts that fall within the small business enterprise that you can compete for. You have to be under a certain threshold, and only those firms who fall within that threshold can go after those contracts. So if you're certified and there's a small business initiative, but it means you're competing against white firms too. It ain't about your color or the ethnicity that you have. It's about the size of your company in terms of being able to participate in the small business enterprise. And sometimes they call that target market because sometimes you can have a target market that's only designed for small business enterprise. But keep in mind, that doesn't mean that if you're black, that you're not going to compete against other minority firms. And small business enterprise, you're competing against other white firms also. But you're just not competing against the big boys.
Got it. So I guess after SBE, then there's this other one called Hub Zone certifications.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What are we talking about with the Hub Zone?
Well, HubZones is another certification that the federal government has that gives you an advantage, just like you would say with housing authorities. What they call firms who are what they call disadvantaged firms. But there's a name.
Historically,
It eludes me.
historically underutilized business zones.
Yeah, absolutely. And the federal program is designed to stimulate economic growth and development by getting incentives for people being certified in that particular category and providing access to federal procurements and opportunities. And there's some advantages to that to be hub certified in a particular area, but it's dealing with a geographic location because you can't hub certified doesn't mean that you can go out and use that everywhere. It simply means you can use it in certain geographic locations. Hub zones. It's hub
Well,
zones.
Hub zones. Well, you know what? We have covered a lot on today. We are at the end of our half an hour time. And as I said, if you listen to the Wake Up Show Chicago on Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on WVON, you can listen to it on iHeartRadio, Facebook, and on YouTube. We're gonna tell you where you can get our white paper on all of these certifications, what they mean, uh, you know, how you can utilize them. We want to truly, truly help to empower you. Larry Ivory has taken the time out to give us his wisdom and his guidance. And you know what? The next episode of a Fireside Chat with Larry Ivory, we're going to cover these state agencies, their acronyms, what they do, what their purposes are. And then after that one, oh man, we're going to take off to the races. So, on behalf of Mr. Larry Ivory, myself, The entire team at the Wake Up Show Chicago and the Illinois State Black Chamber of Commerce, we want to thank you for tuning in, and we're going to see you next time. Peace.